Pretty exciting news last night that rather puts me in mind of the position we were in last year when the devs brought back the Bazaar of the Four Winds and the Labyrinthine Cliffs. Yeah, another one of the old Living World Season 1 concepts is returning to Guild Wars 2, and it's a festival, that being the Dragon Bash. Now, there's quite a few things to talk about, but I thought you guys might like to see the trailer the devs just dropped last night, and we can talk about the juicy things. There's not going to be an elaborate frame-by-frame from me on this, because you really don't need it. Just enjoy the trailer. The music in the background is, of course, the old Dragon Bash stuff too, and I'll fill you guys in on what all of this is, if you fell out of the loop, since it has been quite a few years now. So that's it. We have the season finale, the raid release just a few days ago, and now it seems the release afterwards is a new festival, that being the Dragon Bash, celebrating the defeat of the Elder Dragons at the hands of the Pact Commander, and hopefully a period of new peace for Tyria, at least until Season 5 kicks up. There really have been a lot of releases since the conclusion of the last episode, and I can't help but feel we are somewhat transitioning into this new kind of living world the devs hinted at in that previous blog post a while back, where they talked about build templates coming and high level cooking and high level dueling, and that they weren't necessarily going to force themselves to do new maps with new releases and that things might change a bit. Well, look, here seems to be some new content, a little bit more bite-sized, complemented by the raid release we just had, and obviously these new week-long events, the Mystic Forge initiatives that they've got going on with secret new recipes you can unlock. I wonder how long the game will be in this state of lots of shorter things, more rapid fire coming in. It is an interesting topic, wondering when Season 5 itself will begin, and maybe in a weird way, this release could segue into that quite nicely. I also want to talk about the status of this release as a festival, because I do think it's quite interesting. Now, a lot of people are interpreting this patch as a return of some old content, like something that was there for Season 1 and the game had, and then it was removed, and now it's been a shame ever since. A lot like, again, as we felt with the Labyrinthine Cliffs and so on. But I do kind of want to note to you guys that while the Dragon Festival was a recurring thing in Guild Wars 1, Dragon Bash in Guild Wars 2 never really felt like a festival. It was flavored as a festival, sure. It was a celebration of the people of Tyria with fireworks and these holographic dragon wings we could collect and so on. But it was a once-ever event in the middle of the Living World Season 1 story, and really it was the moment where the story started getting quite interesting. The councillors were assassinated, and that drive to fill the seat on the council fueled the next few episodes. Who My Trin was and the Aether Blades and the mastermind behind them started influencing lots of the subsequent releases. So really, was Dragon Bash a festival like we think of Winter's Day and Halloween, and now the devs are just sort of paying back on due debt that they built up? I don't think that's necessarily true. I think of this as something brand new, as a festival that's coming to the game and hopefully will return in subsequent years also, but it's kind of like an extra. I had as much expectation of Dragon Bash returning as I'd have of, say, the celebrations at the end of Path of Fire we took part in the epilogue of the most recent expansion returning. They weren't festivals, they were celebrations in the story, but they were functions of the story and not too much more. Of course, there's another change. You guys just saw this in the trailer, and probably one of the most pronounced differences here. The previous Dragon Bash took place in Lion's Arch, the hub city, the melting pot's capital, where all the different races came together and celebrated that spirit of togetherness that Guild Wars 2 Interior was all about. Well, this time, it's a specific race that's hosting it, and that's the Norn over in Hoelbrak. There was certainly no such festival in Season 1. So these are some differences that I think will very much change how this feels compared to the previous version, even if there's a bit of nostalgia in the kind of loot we get and the kind of rewards and, you know, the song that we hear in the background of the trailer and so on. So, of course, the story idea here is much like the previous one. The last Dragon Bash was hosted with Zaitan having just been defeated. Now, it's Kralkatorrik that's just been defeated. I actually didn't really like the premise of Dragon Bash and the first time it came around. It was at a weird point with the game where the player base had been asked to get very invested in the Elder Dragon story. Then the core game ended, and all of Living World Season 1 seemed to be doing random different things that had nothing to do with the dragons. That was kind of off-putting, as though the devs didn't want to talk about Elder Dragons anymore. Then they put a festival on top of that kind of made out the dragons were weak and of no interest anymore, and we could basically openly laugh and mock them with our celebrations. I remember that was my interpretation at the time, but of course, it was pretty misguided, as ultimately Season 1 wrapped up to being about the introduction of a totally new Elder Dragon, Morgemoth. So I remember all of that, and I think, well, what about this time? Guild Wars 2 again is in that weird spot where there's no active Elder Dragon threat staring us down. There's the mysterious and missing Deep Sea Dragon, two other dragons that we sent back to sleep during the previous Living World season, and, well, we can just kind of hang out. So here's the big question. Will this festival also have a story twist that suddenly makes us realize what might be coming up in the future? Obviously, Dragon Bash is very similar to the Dragon Festival of the Canthans, and Season 5's duty may be to look at segueing us into Cantha should that be the next expansion. So maybe the devs will draw on something like that. I was initially thinking when I first heard Dragon Bash is coming back that maybe they would finally pay off on this concept art. Yeah, the Hydra attacking Lion's Arch that was first seen in press kits for the release of Heart of Thorns, but never actually turned into any story content. And that would be a cool thought. We have another Dragon Bash now, and suddenly the Hydra attacks and the Deep Sea Dragon reveals he's a risk. Season 5 is laid bare for us, but we're in Hoelbrak. There's no water around whatsoever. Somehow, I don't think it can be that. Even just the idea of the Norn hosting the festival is somewhat curious to me. In a lot of ways, it's a beautiful pairing. The Norn are hunters, they love the thrill of battle, they love these great epic stories, and they would want to celebrate. They're storytellers too. It makes a lot of sense. On the other hand, the one dragon the Norn really care about taking out, Jormag, they haven't really. And there was a big moment in the story where they kind of attacked Jormag, but he just fell asleep that the devs never really talked well enough about. So I'm hoping that the festival actually deals with that to some extent, and maybe it might reveal that there's going to be a renewed push against Jormag, even if he's asleep right now. Maybe some Norns still look at that cracked tooth from way back in Season 3 and think to themselves, the time is to actually take this dragon out. The legend says we'll defeat it, and it's not truly defeated just yet. Maybe there'll be some momentum in that direction. Let's take a moment to look at the official blog post as well the devs revealed with the trailer. They say this: after Zaitan's defeat, Tyrians came together to celebrate something that had long been thought impossible, the death of an Elder Dragon. Now that Morgemoth's been muffled, Kralkatorrik's cracked, and Aurene has ascended, it's time to get back to partying. From June 25th to July 16th, Hoelbrak will host the return of the Dragon Bash Festival. And here they say the actual content: bust open dragon pinatas, battle holographic dragon minions in the open world. So I'm guessing we'll have a spawning system, a bit like, say, at Winter's Day, where you open the gifts and all the toys explode around you. You get a little bit of extra loot. And they say, and the new Dragon Arena. Bet on Moa races and stuff yourself with Zaitafi. So the implementation of a new Dragon Arena remains to be seen, and is quite interesting since in the intervening years since the previous Dragon Bash, the old one has actually now been adopted by the Lunar New Year, and that's where we get that Dragon Arena. That one is themed around Lion's Arch. Will we get a new Dragon Arena themed around Hoelbrak? Are they going to create a new icy style map for us to play in? I think that'd be fantastic. The same rule set and the same idea as the other Dragon Arena, but a new map would actually mean a lot for that specific very arcadey game type, where a huge part of playing that well is knowing where the buffs spawn and at what timings. Simply creating a new map but the exact same rule set and skills would be a dramatic change, and I think that'd be a lot of fun. They also say bet on Moa races. Now, you guys may forget this, but when the original Dragon Bash came came out, and you can look at the old trailers for it. They showed the Moa races on those ones too. That was, if I remember rightly, when Moa racing initially came to Lion's Arch, but it stopped again once Scarlet destroyed the city, and new Disneyland Lion's Arch still has the Moa pens and the Moa hatchlings, but I don't think you can race or do anything with them. So now we'll get it in Hoelbrak instead, and I'm looking forward to seeing how they deal with that. Zytaffy, the currency of the festival, of course, returning there too. They end up by saying Kralkatorrik is keeping a watchful eye on the festivities from above, but don't be alarmed, he's a hologram too. And of course, you guys have seen the trailer, so you get a good feel for what he looks like. Some other little tidbits in the trailers you might have missed are the back pieces, the holographic back pieces of the wings look a little bit different now, a little bit upgraded. Those wings were a really exciting piece of gear for the original festival. The devs didn't really do many wings back then, and they hadn't really cashed in on a lot of the wings and the whole glider stuff that came with Heart of Thorns and beyond. So that's kind of nice to see, and I'm guessing there'll be Dragon Bash flavored mounts and stuff on the gem store. Time will tell on all of that. So there you go, guys. That's Dragon Bash. I'm not really going to do a massive video about it. The cool video will be when it's actually out and we get some footage and see how it's rolling. But also because I want to keep this one short, as speaking so much of Living World Season 1, I think it's about time. I've spent a good while recently working on Living World Season 1 coverage for you all. I'm really excited to see what you think. So keep an eye out for those videos. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you very soon next time.